Alright, let's just go ahead and get started. I'm gonna watch your first fight before I start talking about things. We'll just like see where you're at and get a sense of how you play. So,
Round one. Capture the objective.
Hey there.
G'day, mate.
Hey.
You're completely healed.
okay. You know what? I'm gonna let you cook a bit. Let's give you one more fight and see if this is a persistent issue or if, we're just waking up first fight, right? Like, you crossed too deep into open space too soon, you split your attention, maybe you know. We'll see, like I said, if it's a persistent issue, I'll talk a lot more about it.
Made manifest.
Here with the cure. Get in here. Listen to me up.
I'll be taking the objective.
See me? Now you go. There, I'm reloading.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about this last fight. It did go better, but, oh. What's this? Come on. Come on. A little bit further back. Okay. So it's early, whatever. We're looking for an angle to poke, whatever. Our Moira does that. We heal her up a bit. But let's talk about, like, oh, hey, how's it going, Esco? Glad to be back. So this might seem like minor things, but at this level, and especially like higher, like getting into top 500 and higher into top 500 especially, min-maxing your value to both maximize the pressure you're outputting and the ult charge you get is just increasingly important. So, like, not like this is huge or anything, but this is something you should probably be thinking about, because there's like a bunch of little things here that add up. So, like,
Here with the cure.
shoot her once just in case because she's critical, but there is no reason to put another right click into her right now. She has self-regen and she's basically full anyway, and you might as well take this time to pivot and put in a left click of damage instead. You'll get more ult charge off of it, and you'll make more space for your team to start pushing in now that you guys are grouped and ready to start pushing in. So, like, this nade is a waste. Just wasted time. This is a lot better, and then, while the Tracer is here and critical, try to heal her so she can stay in. This first shot was fine, but once it becomes, like, you missed it, A, and B, she's already out of the fight grabbing this Mega, let her get the Mega. You don't need a healer, she's fine. Just let her get the Mega and go back to doing damage to keep that pressure up. Because you turning away like this as your team is pushing in makes it so hard for your team to push. I actually feel like I really need to talk deep about this. You might already understand this, but like, just to say it, if you are here damaging this diva and healing your Zarya both, she might not need to use a bubble. Your Moira might not need to throw an orb, right? There's, like, the resource trade, because of you being here, is just so much more in your favor, versus if these two have to spend some resources right now, well, now they have to then cross open space into the enemy team. Like, you guys still haven't even taken the fight yet. So the fewer resources you, as a team, can spend right now, the better. Tracer's not going to recall here. She's out of the fight. She's going to grab the Mega and she's going to blink and go back into the fight. So you need to be in the fight, right? Like, if your tank and Moira were back here, then sure, get the ult charge off your Tracer. But they're not. They're in it. They're fighting. And even if they aren't likely to die, they are likely to have to spend more resources to hold this ground because you pulled out of the fight at the wrong time for the wrong reason. Yeah? Hopefully that makes sense. If that doesn't make sense, please hit me up and I am happy to go deeper into it. Sometimes I just, like, explain things weird. And I'm also, like, kind of rushing through it under the assumption that as, like, a GM2 player, you probably already know a lot of this, or it probably makes a lot of sense very, very quickly, right? But... And then here, this is the harder thing to really learn. You do not, as a team, you want to be surrounding the enemy. You don't want to be letting them surround you. You have your Cass over here, which is nice. But, like, by hugging this so tightly, how do I say this? Let me go back to a trigger, right? So our Zarya pushes around the corner where we can't help her. She has Moira with her, but, like, by hanging back here rather than crossing with them, taking this opportunity to come with them and maybe, like, play in here, play in these stairs, etc., where it's a lot harder to get around you. You have cover that you can play around, etc. Maybe you could rotate into here and play Mega, etc. It's this idea of always wrapping around the edges, so it is harder for the enemy to get around you. They have a Pharah, right? So by hanging back like this, it's easier for her to come up in the air and get an angle on you, and you can't help your team, right? Inside here, like, she can still see in here, right? But she can't see fully in there, right? You could back out, and you're not doing the best damage, and it's a little bit harder to hit your right clicks, but, like, you can still be doing shit in here and be completely uncontested if that was your choice. Or you could, walk forward and do some contesting of your own at will, right? Here, your only option to get away, really, is to drop and leave everyone to fend for themselves, rather than back up and still be able to help them. Yeah? Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah? So we just hang back. I think we're a little bit scared, and it makes it easier for us to get cut off and isolated, based on the heroes the enemy team is running, right? What's funny is, just to make this a little bit more complicated, if they were running, for example, a Tracer or a Sombra, playing in here might be suicide, because that lets the Tracer just get right up on you, blink one clip, like, right? So this is all relative to what they have. A lot of this positioning is because they have a pharmacy that is going to roll you, and you want to be able to avoid them or contest them at will without having to leave the fight. Yeah? And by choosing this position, you have to leave the fight to avoid them, right? Assuming they choose to target you. But, so we hang back here a little bit late. The lamp is fine. You're scared for them. Whatever. But look at how much space that D.Va made. That D.Va had 3 people fighting her, right? Your Zarya, and conversely, this is partly your Zarya's fault, partly y'all's fault. But, like, just like the disconnect, right? She should be playing in your LOS. You should also have been pushing up and maintaining her LOS. She can't make as much space without help, right? So, like, this is actually why I laugh when people say that Zarya counters D.Va and why she doesn't. Because D.Va has the mobility to do this. The Zarya walks in and the D.Va leaves the Zarya and then goes and pulls 3 people out of the fight for long enough that the Zarya has to leave 1 HP having killed nothing, and then they got nano, right? Like... Yeah, and then again, you crossed into open space, right? And you... Specifically, you crossed into open space in the middle of the fight, right? You might have just been resetting, like, you did kind of have to do something, but... Yeah. Take space a little bit earlier, I think. There is such a thing as too early, right? But don't feed by any stretch. I don't think you're... You don't strike me as a feeder per se. You're just, you're not being proactive enough with your rotations. Yeah?
You are completely healed.
That was kind of a bad bubble, but whatever. Oh no. So... Ooh.
Everyone's getting better.
Wow. I have a number of questions.
Stay inside the field. A shot of health.
Okay, just the... You played that fine. You played that fine. I got... Like, you did. You played that well. I got hung up on your Zarya wasted both of her bubbles and then walked down an Ana in front of her entire team. What was that Ana doing there? Like, your Zarya misplayed, but their Ana misplayed it so much worse it didn't matter. That was wild. What is she doing that close?
Reloading. Be careful.
Not bad, but this is open space, and now we're crossing in front. Okay. This is absolutely critical to understand that, like, I mean it, your goal as a team, put in the most simple terms possible, is to surround the enemy team, or at least get enough angles on them that you can deny them cover. You don't have to be fully surrounding them, right? But you have to have angles on them, and while denying those angles on your team. And doing something like crossing in front and then turning your back on the enemy is putting yourself in the middle. It is doing what they want to do to you for free. And you didn't get punished for it this time. And you might not even get punished for it at, like, most of the time you do that. But you will get punished for it sometimes, and that will lose you some fights, which will lose you some games, yeah? And you're in an elo where every little bit matters. Your positioning needs to constantly be adapting to keep the people in LOS that you need to keep in LOS, but also to keep your team on the outskirts of the fight and keep the enemy team the ones pushing into the middle as much as possible. Like, this setup right now is actually looking really clean, except you're a little too far forward, or a little too center, rather, versus, like, being over here where you can support your Zarya and your Zen, or even just being here on your Zen, right? Like, if we choose to play here, you do have to make a little cross, but your Zarya is going to be backing up with you. So, like, the two of you would be crossing together with the Zen there. Like, it's not the most dangerous crossing, and this is a much more aggro angle, right? It's a choice, yeah? You are taking a small amount of risk for an increase in your angle. You can choose it or not. But, like, either way, you can support these people and be putting out pressure. Right, and you could have also healed the cast from there, right? Right here, now, you can't do shit, yeah? You're putting yourself in the middle. Hey, Midna! How's it going? It has been a minute. How are you doing? See how much harder it is to do everything from here? Like, you wanted to window on point, but... this is a terrible place for you to window yourself. You can put a window on point if there is a team fight happening on the point there. It's called a brawl window, and the idea is your teammates using it can almost, like, shield dance through it to keep amping their damage and brawl through it, right? It can be okay for certain team comps or certain fights, right? But, again, using simple terms, the point is a low ground with little to no cover, surroundable easily by high grounds and cover. It's a death trap. This is where people go to die. It is not where you ever want to be if you have any choice whatsoever. And in this moment, you had every option under the sun. No one was pressuring you to do anything or go anywhere, right? So, like, and see how little you got done with that window? Because you're on the inside trying to look out rather than being on an outside angle like here, where you could see them as they approach, see maybe some of them as they try to escape, and see them as they egress onto the point, yeah? As just an idea, right? Or maybe you wait until they egress onto the point, and then you window back here where you have this little doorway for cover. You could even toss a lamp there where it'll be hard to break, and you can see most of the point. This point is actually one of the few exceptions to there being cover around the point, but you can still see most of it, right? And you could hard frag from here, plus have cover and options, yeah? This is just the scary place. This is the scary bad place, and you almost absent-mindedly seem to put yourself here, and then you have to react to that, or try to make the best out of that. And like I said, like, you're a good player in a large number of ways. You're not thinking ahead about where you need to be next to put yourself there in time. You're rotating too late a lot of the time, right? Or you're just sort of defaulting towards this middle spot. Oh. I'll be real, that caught me by surprise. I did not hear her at all. Good on her. You mentioned this, and there... Oh, thanks so much for the follow, Crepson. So there's two parts to this. On the one part of it is you were just... Oh, this is you. Nice. Welcome. So one part of this is with that barrage. You'll be back here in a game? All right, cool. But you were... Like, that was just genuinely unlucky. She took you by surprise fully. Good on her. But the other thing is open... Or, like, the middle. The open space, the death trap, the kill box, whatever you want to call this. This is where bad luck happens. This is where people, like I said, this is where people go to die, right? So, yes, that was unlucky, and there was nothing you could have done about it in that moment, but this is where the unlucky things happen. And if we are, like I said, somewhere back here, how does she get behind you? She might still get you, but she had to come a lot further. She had to expose herself to more of your team. Like, you can make it harder for her to surprise you, right? You might still get surprised sometimes, and, like, that's unfortunate, right? Good on them. They made a good play. But you can... Like I said, if you take yourself out of the places where the bad luck happens and into the places where the good luck happens, where you happen to find people unaware of you and shit like that, it's just so much harder for her to make those sorts of plays in the first place.
Another go, maybe.
Careful, we are outnumbered.
Group up.
Dang. Yeah, she's way too far forward. If she had backed up towards the backup point, you might have been able to lamp and heal her and stall that out for longer, or at least get her out with energy, but this is absolutely wild. What this looks like to me is your Zarya thinks that she counters D.Va, because that used to be true in Overwatch 1 when you had 2 tanks, but it is just straight up not true in Overwatch 2. But what's actually happening is the enemy, like, people who have no reason to be feeding into your Zarya were just feeding into your Zarya. Okay, good. She's swapped to D.Va. Thank God. She'll be able to do so much more about this pharmacy. You should have lamped her. This is last fight. You can't afford to let somebody die like that. And, like, you had it for yourself, which is nice, but... Woo! Holy shit, dude. That was lucky.
The patient for a change.
Okay, but here we're a little bit too scared, and we're in the middle, right? We want to put out pressure for them walking in, right? We don't want them to just walk in for free. We want them to have to spend resources walking in, so it's harder for them to then take the fight. And again, rather than windowing somewhere that can see the point, you windowed on the point. Window somewhere that can see the point, so then when they aggress onto it, you can fight the point without being there yourself, yeah? Woo, this is looking scary. We put ourselves in the middle. You have good aim. We're doing a lot here. Just imagine how much easier this would be if we weren't in the middle, constantly spinning around in a circle. Good kill. Aww. You peeked it. That's so unfortunate. Oh, hey, Godly and Akara. You see this diva go crazy sometimes, though?
I'll find my own.
No, their diva's really good. Can you show in the replay where you would rather put the window? Oh, yeah. Here. If you watch the VOD back, I talked about this, a little bit more earlier, but basically... Ooh, actually, you know what? Let me show it to you in a different way. Oh, thanks so much for the follow, KDS. Katie Sufi? I'm not sure how to say that, but welcome. Thanks. It annoys me to no end that people never take co-side on Icebreaker. Yeah. So, I'm going to give you the idea, and then I'm going to give you the map specific, or situation specific, I guess. The idea. Most of these maps, especially control point maps, but basically every part of every map in the game, is generally built around 3 lanes, yeah? You have the middle, and then you have these 2 outer flanks. And you want to pick one of these outer flanks, because then it's harder for them to get around you and surround you, right? And from there, you can see so much more of the field, whichever one you choose to take, right? So just the general off angle that can see onto the point. So the examples I gave were, you could think about doing something like over here, pretty aggressive with it, right? That can like see them as they approach and they have to push into the window and it lets you back out around here, take this off angle. That's like a way to think about it. That's an option. The one I think is better for this particular map is come over to here to this doorway where you can like drop a lamp in here, you got cover, etc., and play out on this side with your window, where if they come through here to try to flank you, right, if they aggress onto the point, they just literally can't get around you without spending like 6 years flanking through Narnia to do it, right? Yeah, a left for the right side, right? Yeah, exactly. Sorry, there's a delay. I sometimes get confused. But, so, if you're not sure about a spot on a particular map, it's fine. Try things, yeah? Maybe you try one side and you're like, fuck, that didn't work. I'll try the other side. Fuck, that didn't work either. Maybe I'll try a different spot on one of these sides. I don't know, right? You gotta experiment a bit. This is the map-specific one on this one, that I think would be really strong, just because look how much you see, right? But there is a case, especially like maybe depending on team comps, etc., where you might just push up all the way to fucking here and be like, come at me, bro. You want to touch the point? Touch this fucking point. Yeah? So, you got options. You always have options. But, oh, what am I doing? I'm going to watch some more. Looking forward to my VOD. Said chat can rest the fuck out of me. I get all my teams to favor co-side on this map. I think co-side is really strong for anything that isn't like straight brawl, basically. Like that left side is nice and close if you want to just get on top of people. But if you want any kind of poking distance first, or you want them to have to aggress through open space first, or whatever.
To 1.
Another day.
Ready for battle.
Also, general, it's better to get fire on point and cut. Yeah. That map actually has cover on point. So does this next. Do all of them? I can't remember the third point off the top of my head. Maybe they do all on this one. most King of the Hill maps do not have any cover on point. Some of them have like a pillar in the middle or something, right? But that's also true of most objectives and like cart paths. Fighting on them is usually just being in open space. Sometimes you have no better choice, but if you do... This one... Oh, you're right. Okay, sorry. This one just has that little... this thing right here. Yeah, so here, like, we're helping the hell out of you. You must stat like a motherfucker on this hero. You hit so many shots. You're healing really well. You're really aware of your team. You output a reasonable amount of damage. I think you could be putting out more, but I think it all ties back into you're making your job harder. You're stressing yourself out by, like, how you're positioning and passing through all this open space. So, like...
Thanks for the help.
This is a nice little off angle, and we got our D.Va here in front of us, right? D.Va goes in, so now we need to back up, but I wouldn't want to walk all the way out to here. I would just want to, like, start backing up maybe to where Ana is, where I can see, like, still see in here and contest this. So a couple of things happen. One, by coming here, you turn your back on this angle that these guys, hopefully they do take. We'll see. Right? You can't still just stand here, but they can shoot you for free, and it also gives them a free path onto your Ana. Maybe your Ana's paying attention, maybe she's not, but we can put ourselves in a position where we can, like, contest all of this and still throw out some healing and, like, support our other support, have cover, etc. And then when our D.Va has her next fly and can come back, then we can start pushing this again and maybe clear this high ground with the help of our D.Va on her next fly. Maybe not. Yeah, depends how it goes. But, like, that's sort of my thought process, is I gotta give this up, but I still want to be able to fight it and take it back. Yeah? And honestly, depending on how spicy you're feeling, well, Ana's right there, too. If this Cassidy is all alone and you're feeling it, you could just hold it and kill him. Yeah? You can choose to take the 1v1 if you're feeling it. And especially since it's first fight, if you lamp yourself and win the duel against the Cassidy, you just carry this fight. So that actually might just be your plan. Might change that plan when we see this Ana Tracer there, because it's a lot harder for you to get the kill through the Ana pocket, but... Right? Thought process. I would play less like Cass and more like Soldier if you want to put pressure, but gotta work on your rhythm, shoot, heal, yeah. Yeah, but see, by walking this way, you turn your back on all the danger. Thank you, D.Va, for DMing right now, but you turn your back on all this, you, like, leave all of this exposed, etc., right? You don't get punished for this. Nothing bad happens, but you can see how this was the path to bad luck, right? This is where bad luck happens. It won't always happen, but... Alright? But we control our luck a little bit more by either choosing to hang back and play safe, or choosing to just fucking murder this kid because we're a badass. Yeah? This is the carry play. It's not required of you right now, but it is a carry play if you want to do it.
Reloading.
Not even behind pillars. Yeah, right? Is it... I could be wrong, but I honestly think, from what I've seen so far, that it all stems from... Or, like, there's one piece missing from your thought process, which is, the enemy has to be in the middle, my team has to be on the outside. Yeah? And however I can vary my positioning such that the enemy team is in between us versus me in between them, right? You start adding that depth onto basically everything else you're doing, and it gets a lot stronger, and it also gets less stressful. It just gets easier for you to do. I really like his team pushing the ramp since the enemy split themselves.
My ultimate is charged.
Yeah. So, things to consider. I'm not saying this is a mistake or anything, but since we're like talking about your position and your rotations, this is just a thing to consider. Is you don't really have a lot of mobility, and you have no escapes over on this side. It is a really strong angle with your whole team holding over here, but like in a more ideal world, you might be back over on this side where you have an escape with the diva holding closer, where she can get an angle more easily, be like protecting the Cassidy, right? Cassidy over here all by himself is a little scary, so you being here with them is, it's nice, right? But there's a stronger way to organize this, and maybe you can make it happen and maybe not, right? You just need to be careful about taking the side that leaves you cut off, yeah? It's not inherently wrong, it's just inherently dangerous. Hanzo and Cash should swap. Yeah, actually. Sorry, I was just looking at, like, tank support, but yeah. Well, I don't know. I could see the Hanzo wanting the long angle and the Cass looking for a Magnate play, but... But the Cass would also be able to help prevent that high ground from getting dove in the first place. Cass can also get healing from on it. Yeah.
Yeah, the night is young.
Diva should not be the...
Little menacing goes
I
a
mean-
long way.
How far up? Because, like... My thought is... If while the enemy team is, like, trying to push in, or, you know, realistically, they're trying to take this high ground, this gives you cover and closeness and an angle to get on them, or get out however you need to get out, but... Play main pillar and react to their pressure? Oh, like play in here. Oh. Yeah, sorry, this is actually... Because this does the same thing as this. It does the same thing as this, but it also gives you easier access to coast if they come out here, while still giving you access to main if they decide to push main. You're right. That is 100% correct. Hey, Scareman. How you doing?
Stay near the immortality field. I'm reloading. Give me a second.
I actually like that lamp, yeah? You might as well use it, and losing your diva then would make this next push on their side, like it makes it iffy, right? They might just start clutching it back after this fight. Lamp was great, yeah.
Let's get you all.
But see here how we're crossing all this open space again? The rotation is kind of good in that you might want to start thinking about playing over on this side, but there's a difference between rotating like this and rotating like this, yeah? Like, the rotation idea wasn't wrong, it's simply use these, right? At least, if you gotta make this cross across open space to get an angle, or, you know, you're worried about the fight moving to a different spot or whatever. Really? Oh, good, I'm glad. It's hard to think of so much in such a short time in this. Oh my god, yeah. It is luxurious to be able to watch a VOD after the fact and point out all the things you could have done instead. It's a different thing to do it in the game. But see how we got cut off there? We just didn't have an escape, right?
Nano boost almost ready.
Um, you don't always have to play like a coward. I don't want you to like overcorrect and just suddenly be always playing too far away to really do anything, because your damage is your carry play and you have fall off, right? If you can get a nasty off angle, you can just fucking frag people, and that's really strong. So don't overcorrect into cowardice. Just think about how you're going to get out or where you're going to go next, yeah? And there's a lot of prediction involved. Where's the enemy going to go? What are they going to do? And what is the best place for me to be? What is my fucking team going to do and where are they going to go, right? Predicting all these kids. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm sure you are doing that to a certain degree. Ooh! Right? You're just making it a lot harder to do those things by putting yourself in the middle, right? Like this, look at how much we're doing just by playing back where we can see everything. And now, let's add on. So, if we're on an off angle, where would we be? Where would we be? Because what I'm thinking is we want to get some damage onto this Pharah, because we can't out-heal her. We can't save our Ana without Lamp, but if we pressure the Pharah out, we might, yeah? And like, by being here, you can see your team. Put this Pharah, right? Like, we could have put a little bit of pressure on her there, maybe. Oh, actually, I guess, yeah, we could have. Never mind, I take it back, we didn't need to move, we just needed to put some pressure on her. Here, we can't anymore because now she's behind cover, but like, maybe this doesn't play out any differently. She has a mercy pocket, like, this Ana is in open space, right? But your only chance of saving her ass is with your damage right now, yeah? Diva overextend on point after they flipped when they were 10 seconds off winning. She should poop on mercy instead of fighting on a Diva on point, yeah. No, like, there's a lot of questionable choices happening here, I think, from a lot of players, but, dang. Like, right then, what else are you gonna do, right? Whatever with that death. So, yeah. The two things that are missing. The one that I talked a lot about is the positioning, making sure you're on the outside, right? I talked, I think, enough about that. If you have questions, though, please let me know and I'll talk more. The one I didn't talk much about at all, but I think is equally important and just ties together, is on BAP especially, you want to be keeping the pressure up. There's a timing component and, like, there's some nuance to it. Like, if you want to make a play with window and kill 3, maybe you hide for that and you're not just constantly pressuring, right? If you're in a position where they could isolate and dive you because you're not enough of your team is alive or in the fight yet, maybe you don't pressure, right? But generally speaking, you want to min-max the damage you're outputting on BAP, and you don't want them to take space for free. Any chunk of open space they have to push through before they get to the point, you want to make them spend cooldowns to cross it if you can. And if they don't spend any cooldowns, at least you got a little ult charge. The trick is just be proactive with your rotations while you do that, so you don't let them get on top of you, yeah? We pressure them, maybe we get some extra value out of it, maybe we just get the ult charge, but we back up. And we pressure them some more, and then we leave. And we pressure them some more, and we leave. And then we're set up for the actual fight, and if we're lucky, or if we did a good job, the enemy team just has so much less to throw at us by the time they get there. And that is one of the BAP's biggest strengths as a support, is how much pressure he can output to pressure up cooldowns, because your rate of fire is so high. Gotta get rid of the tunnel vision. Yeah. I feel like the tunnel vision... Actually, so the chicken and egg here. The tunnel vision might be drawing you to the middle, or you might be having... Your awareness might start struggling once you're in the middle because you have to turn further to see things, right? So one will probably help the other. But How does this apply into something like Ball Tracer, Sombra, Dive Comp? Should I just swap? Pap, it's very hard to that. Depends on what your team is on. Yeah. So there's some things you can do to juke dives, like play high ground, drop, jump back up when they drop. Maybe you can burn their cooldowns. And like you have your shift and your lamp. But against that much dive, you're not living. You're not getting out alive. You're dragging your life out for as long as possible and hoping that you die buying enough space that your team wins the fight. And that is your strat on BAP, and it's not the best. It's workable, but if you have other heroes in your hero pool with like real escapes that can actually just keep juking the dive forever, that's so much easier. That's so much easier to play. Same as Zeta dive. Yeah, your bait, and if they take the bait too hard and or you just straight up frag them, you win. But if you don't, you lose. Just puts the eggs in your team's back. Yeah. The idea is to die a good death then. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. If you're a BAP one trick, it's a workable play. But if you're not a one trick, there are definitely stronger plays you can make.